Thank you so much, sir. I just received a question from Lagos, from Bukola Lambo of Leadership Newspapers. Sir, permit me to ask the question on his behalf. He said, Nigerians expect so much from the Central Bank of Nigeria and indeed the federal government. What is your message to the average Nigerian who believes that the CBN is responsible for all their current economic challenges? Thank you.
Oh dear. I laugh at that question, but it's not a laughing matter. It's not a laughing matter. And I think it is very important for Nigerians to understand that the central bank governor, I and my team, are not responsible for the woes that we have today. We are part of the solution. We are determined to ensure that we work hard to get out of the mess that Nigeria is in. We assumed responsibility in a time of crisis of confidence. There was a crisis of confidence. And you may all want to go to bed and wish that that crisis of confidence was not there, but it was. And we can't turn back the clock. All we can do is do the difficult things to make a bad situation better. And I do believe that the efforts that we are making are beginning to bring back confidence. Because to be frank, without confidence in our business, you are not going to get very far. No matter how much you believe you have in your store of dollars and cents, naira and kobo, no matter how much you think you have, if the confidence is not there, all that money will disappear in no time. So, we are working hard. We are putting out our policies. We're trying to avoid as much as possible not to go against the grain and the spirit of what we've said we would do. We're trying to be as open and transparent as possible. We're bearing the interests of all Nigerians in view with any decisions we are taking. We are ensuring that we put the country above individuals. Because, like I said before, and it also applies to this, Nigeria does not have the wiggle room to make failed interventions. Similarly, we do not have the wiggle room to get it wrong. We don't. We are not magicians. We can't wave a wand and it'll all be good. If we make mistakes, we'll be humble enough to say we've made a mistake and we will change course. But we will do everything possible to conduct our business, recognizing that we are in a position of trust. We are in a position of trust and will not betray that trust. I would also say, I'm not on the fiscal side, and we're very fortunate that in the process of having the MPC, we have very senior level fiscal representation And that hopefully should also help the handshake as we go along, because you spoke about CBN and FGN. So I will take the liberty to say something about FGN. And that is that really, from the perspective of the central bank, again, we're not the federal government of Nigeria, but we see hard decisions have been taken, and they are required to help us, because the central bank can't do it on its own. It has to work very closely with the fiscal side. One without the other is like, that famous adage of clapping with one hand. It won't go anywhere. So the two have got to work very closely together. And we see a lot of the reforms that are being taken on the fiscal side, okay, and are helping to create a better environment, okay, for Nigeria. Having said all that, I think it's also important that Nigerians must also understand certain things that are basic, so that, it's necessary to be able to see where the future is going. A tax to GDP ratio of 7.1, quite frankly, is one of the lowest in the whole world. It's one of the lowest. In fact, the recommendation for proper sustainable development is in the region of 30 upwards. Now, you can ask, how did we get to 7.1? Why is it 7.1 when it should be multiples of that? That is a discussion for an entirely different day, but that is what it is. So anybody having the expectations that it's all going to be turned around overnight from the fiscal side is not likely to, it's not going to happen. But what is likely to happen is that 7 to 1 will continue to grow in an upward trajectory that will be to the benefit of Nigerians, and then get to that level where there's comfort all round. In the meantime, of course, it is for Nigerians to monitor these things, and also, from every indication, the federal government is putting in place certain palliatives that will help the difficult times that Nigerians are going through, until we get to a situation where some of these things begin to improve. I thought it was important to say this, that the commitment is there, certainly from the central bank, and from what I can see, the federal government of Nigeria. The commitment is there. The difficult decisions have been taken. We are now at the stage where we're trying to rebuild, and rebuild better, and rebuild in a way that those who now come will see that they have something on the ground that is sustainable. No point in building something that will crash after a number of years. That's not the idea. The idea is to put something down in place that will be able to outsurvive all of us.
Thank you so much, Mr. Governor. With that...